record. Click, click, click. Hopefully that gets us there. Okay, I just did a new session in Logic, and I just want to show some basic things about setting up a session. First thing I typically start with is a software instrument, because this is the first thing that comes up. You can start with audio, you can do whatever you want, but software and audio are the two that I use. I'm just going to make one track. There is the metronome over here, but the reason I start with a software instrument is because I don't like the metronome. I would much rather have a kick drum instead of the metronome. And maybe there's a simpler way to do this, but I like my way. So this is the library of instruments I have available. So I have instrument 1 selected. I'm going to double click. I'm going to call it click because it's my click track. And I'm going to go to drum kit. Just for starting off, I like the SoCal kick. Yeah. And then if you have a drum pad set up, you can tap out some beats. Or if you need to, you can draw some. We don't need the inspector open right now, so I'm going to close that. So I have just this big ol' session. The scissors tool here is the editor. We go in there. We have the ability to draw in some notes. So you can hear. So C1 is labeled as kick. That's good. And it lists out the measures and everything in here. One of my favorite things is command right arrow, and that zooms us in. Command left arrow zooms us out. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I want to draw in some notes. Our tools, right now we have the click, the left click tool, the pointer tool, and we have the pencil tool. We access the pencil tool by holding command. So I'm going to grab the pencil tool and just draw in. I just clicked holding command to draw those in. Well, way too fast. Aha, because I wasn't looking quite at where our measures were. There we go. There's our 4 measures. And I'm going to stop it there. Now, if you got one on the wrong spot, I mean, you click on it, you can move it to whatever sound you want. So if there's a different click you like, great. This is what I like to do. So then I'm going to close the inspector tool because I have my 4 beats on the beat. And then there's the extend. Let's actually see if I can zoom in on this so you can see it easier. Yeah, there's extend, which will just make this longer. I don't actually want to extend it though. What I want to do is repeat. So if you go a little higher on this edge, you get the repeat. That means we're going to loop it. And so then I'm just going to loop and go forever on to the very end. Command left arrow, and I'm zooming out, and I'm just going to keep on repeating this guy. I don't know how long my song is going to be. I don't want to run out of a click. I can always shorten it up later. It's a nice idea this to check how long it is. Click at the very end, and we're at 4 minutes 14 seconds. So if we need to, we could grab this arrow right here, extend our session, and then we can just repeat this more and more. And now we're like at 6 minutes and 58 seconds. But that will change as we change the tempo. Okay, so command left arrow, I can see my whole session. It'll stop at a certain point. You know, it gets the smallest it possibly can. I'm going to push play. There's my click. Okay, this is great. But then tempo, let's say we wanted to change it. 156. Great. And notice we're a little bit shorter now. We're not in 6 minutes. We're at 5:20. You can ignore the 1 hour there. That's just to avoid negative values if you go below the very first measure. So 5 minutes, 20 seconds because we sped it up. In this case, I know I want my session in 6/8, and I know I want it at 190. Normally I do a bit of testing, play along with whatever, but in this case, I know. You might not be able to see some of these tools. So Logic Pro X, top left, preferences, advanced tools. That's really important. Show advanced tools. That is what we want. Yeah. Audio, MIDI, control surfaces, advanced editing. These are things that are helpful to have on. The biggest thing this gives you is if you right-click on the header, you can go Customize, Control Bar, and Display. And you can pick all the things that you see. And you can just like turn them on and off and see what they look like, see what it is. I don't really need locators left and right. I don't really do much with the sample rate besides just setting it. I have some things up here that I like to see. I like to see when my MIDI is active. That's the MIDI activity. I like to see my time signature, my tempo, the speed. This is cool. I'll show you later. And then we have how long our session is and where we're at in measures. There's a lot of other things. Oh, the tuner, super handy. So that way you don't have to pull out another tuner. Low latency mode, that's probably good for recording, so you're not having a huge delay between what you say, like what you're recording, and what you're hearing back. But when you're just like mixing, not recording anything else, it's fine to turn that off. But that is available there for you. Yeah. So the click is available. I haven't done much with the click because I like making my own. So there we are. Okay. So now we have a click set up and I need some audio tracks. I'm going to go File, not File, Track. If we go New Tracks, that'll bring up that basic window, or we can do New Audio Track and it will just bring up an audio track. I'm going to go New Tracks. And I'm going to say I want audio, and input is number 4. If I want my inputs to iterate, meaning like 4, 5, 6, 7, we can do ascending. That would be like if I'm setting up to record some drums, and I know I'm going to 4-track something all at once, so I want all of my audio inputs to be on separate channels. That's great. But for me, I know that I'm just going to be recording with this single mic right now. And I want 4 tracks. You can have as many as you want. I don't want to load any default stuff. Yes, record, enable, audio output. Yeah, all that's fine. So I'm going to create. There's my 4 tracks. I'm going to double click on them to name them. That's my scratch track. Guitar track, hit tab and you can go through them. Harmony 1 and Harmony 2. You can guess that I have already planned this out a little bit. We need the mixer to see what's going on a little bit. Command 2 brings up the mixer. Command 1 brings up the this window. Those are super, super handy tools. So Command 2. And I'm actually going to change my window a little bit because I can manage to have both of these on here at the same time while still seeing what I need. And then that command left arrow gets me seeing everything that's in here. Okay, so here is my stuff. We get buses when we make, so I made a software instrument, and it automatically created a bus track. I don't really want that bus track, so I'm going to say no send. So I went to the click track, and on sends it says bus number 2. I'm going to go no send. And then let's see, can I delete this? I don't know. We're just going to repurpose this. I'm sure there's a way to delete it, but I'm going to go no plugins. So we got audio effects, plugins, no plugin, no plugin. The drum kit automatically brings up a channel EQ and a compressor. I'm just going to take those away for now. We just don't need them at the moment. And we'll come back to this bus number 2 later. Now it's time to record, and notice all 4 of my tracks are line 4, line 4, line 4, line 4. That's what I wanted because my microphone is in line 4. If you need something different, you click on it and you go to input and you select whatever the input is that you have set up that you're recording on. Super cool. And then we can record, enable a single track at a time. Whichever one it is, will have the highlighted red flasher. And then we got the record button up here. When we hit record, oh, and the click went off because I had it turned on. But for some reason, I don't hear my click track. That's strange. Okay. Oh, I just clicked on it and I pressed the delete button to get rid of it. I'm going to turn off the click here. Okay. So there's our setup. Let's see. There we go. And so now we are recording, and it's amazing, and we're going along and doing our thing. Spacebar will stop, or the stop button will stop. Either way, I use the spacebar a lot. What's up, Bear? Okay, hang on a couple minutes. You want to go get set up at the table, and then I'll come grab you some food? Okay. Okay. I'm going to click on this and press the delete button because I don't actually want that recording of me talking. I have some files already on my desktop, setup files. Hey! Let's see. Scratch. Oh, maybe my scratch track is the guitar. We'll see. We might have to rename these. Melody. I wanted something for us to work with. I didn't want to record it all right in front of you. Oh, I grabbed the melody twice. I didn't mean to do that. Harmony. There we go. Harmony and harmony. Okay. Now, there we go. And I'm just going to mute the click for now because I just don't need it.
Lying awake in the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive when you touch my skin. I am suppressed by the fashion, the gesture is nice.
We're just taking a little listen
so
real quick.
Disguised. Won't you see through my eyes?
Okay, so there's our little session. Okay, next up, so many things to do. One, I'd like to change some colors. If I click on a track and hit Control C, no, Option C, there we go. We can choose a color. So I'm gonna go orange for guitar, and it's a little weird, like, right, that got the track color, but then like the little bar on the left side doesn't. There we go. If we click it down in the mix window, we can change it too. I wish it just changed both at once, but whatever. So I've clicked on the melody. I want that to be purple. Yes. I'm going to click the footer in the mix window and go purple. And then my harmonies. Harmonies are going to be lighter. Here we go. And and you can do two at once if we shift click. So I clicked on harmony 1, hold shift, click on harmony 2, and then I can go color change those. Cool. So I got some colors. All of that is great. If you like colors, again, that was Option C that brought up that little window, and then you just got to click on whatever track it was you wanted. Selecting multiple things at once is super handy. I noticed that my harmonies were like super extra loud compared to everything else. So I'm going to go and we're going to check out the harmonies real quick. I'm going to hold shift and click on the harmonies. So I want them to be the same level together, but I would like to adjust them together. So if you shift click and they're both highlighted, you can mess with the volume of both at once, which is super handy. Good rule of thumb is to not take things over 0 dB that you're seeing in the little window right here. You know, sometimes we need a little extra volume on something that's quiet, but yeah. I don't know. That space is there if you need it. Sometimes things need to be louder. So I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to pull those down. Awesome. And then maybe I'll start thinking like, I want to pan them. And so I'll pan, and it did both of them at the same time because I still have them selected. So click on just one, and then you can do the other way. Click and hold to see how much it is. Negative 36, sure. Negative, positive 36, okay. That is great. Our audio, our harmonies are panned a little bit. Okay. Now we need to start adding some effects that are going to help with our sound. It's going to be good. The first thing we're probably going to do is go and add an EQ to all of our tracks. And you can either go to Audio Effects and go down to EQ and grab your channel EQ. The most recent things you've used show up here. So again, that was Audio Effects. You can go and find it under EQ. Or it just, up here you got EQ. If you click on that little window, it lets you grab that. And then it kind of shows you like, you can see what's going on. Yeah. This little window will always show you the top EQ. You can add like multiple EQs, but it'll show you whichever one is highest in the list. So then we can go through and do some EQ stuff. I would recommend EQing almost everything, at least a little bit. And I'll show you some things about how this works. So I'm just going to solo the guitar for a minute so we can hear it better. You want to check your EQ with the whole mix, but I want to, point out some fine-tuned stuff. So I push play, and then I'm going to grab one of these, and I might just listen for what I like, what I dislike. If I dislike something, I might pull down. If I like something a lot, I might leave it up a little bit. I get some sparkle up in the high end here, or there's the low end here. I'm just gonna give it a little bit of sparkle. And if you want to mess with the shape of that hump, you can grab on this number, the very bottom number, to make it wider or more narrow, right? And you can also do that visually. I believe we can grab the edges, right? Okay, and then if you decide you don't like that, or you want to test it out or something, you can just click that and it turns off that selection point. Sometimes I worry about my guitar being too boomy in the low end or catching something, so I'll turn in a high pass, turn on a high pass, meaning, pretty sure that's right. High passes for the low end, low passes for the high end. This just cuts some of our very bottom end. My guitar does not need to have a massive, massive low end. Really, you can see like its main, like if you want to add a boost, like 200 hertz gets you that nice low sound. Maybe bring that in a little bit for this particular guitar. Yeah, mess around with it, see what you like. And then you might have to mess with the levels of everything again. Pull that down a little bit.
I am suppressed by the fashion and gesture.
And then I'm going to go EQ my voice. Let's see.
In the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive.
Yeah, I like the sound here. I'm not a big fan of what's right in here.
In the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive.
So I'm just going to add a little bit around that 2000 mark for my voice. I don't know that I actually need to cut anything. This really will help define it. Again, I'm going to bring in that low end cutoff point because sometimes I worry about like traffic or other things that drive by. Like if there's a bus that goes by and you hear like in the background, well, this takes that out. Home studio recording, right? Like you do what you got to do. My voice does not need to have quite that low end. You can bring it up as high as you want. You just want to make sure that you're not cutting off some of the main parts of the vocal.
In the silent parade, I am dead.
We start to hear a big difference there, and that's not good.
So alive. And you touch my skin.
Yeah, we're okay there.
I am suppressed by the fashion, the gesture is nice.
Little cut.
Feel so disgusted.
Also, the orange one here is super fun because let's turn off the others real quick so you can see it. The orange one gives you that same kind of like cutoff, but it's a little easier to control exactly. Or maybe you wanted to boost a certain portion. It's nice. I don't actually need that one on at the moment, but it's handy. Also, you have the same thing at the top. You got the purple. You want to add some brilliance to the whole thing. You can load up on your high end, or maybe you need to cut a little bit because your cymbals were crashing too loud. Well, yeah, pull that down, and then you still have the filter essentially. If you want like a old style telephone, you can cut off a bunch of the high and let's see, cut off a bunch of the lows.
In the silent parade, I am dead.
Entertaining. Okay. You can also turn your whole thing on and off with the power button.
In the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive. And you touch.
Cool. That just gives you a nice view of what's going on. If you really like an EQ that you dialed up, and let's say you have two vocal parts and you're like, oh, they're on different tracks, but I want them to have the same EQ, you can hold Option and click on your channel EQ and drag it into another track and get the same exact one. I don't actually want the same exact one there, so I'm going to down arrow, no plugin. Yeah, that's a possibility. Okay, so let's do something with our harmonies. I'm going to add in something to each one, and let's say we actually want to, oh, I should show you. Sorry. We want to do them at the same time. No plugin. If you have both of them highlighted, you go get your channel EQ from the list, or you click there. There they are. And notice we're only editing one EQ at a time. But that's okay. We could copy, paste just fine. Okay. Let's actually see what would happen if we do that radio sound, because that could be kind of fun at this moment. Then I'm going to get rid of my second EQ and just do that Option, click, move over. Yeah! Okay. So that is probably not the feel I'm actually going for in the end result, but you get the idea, and that'll work for now. Cool deal. Let's say you really wanted to just work on this part, mess with the EQ a whole bunch. You don't want to hit stop and start. That is excellent. So where you see the measures up here, if you click and drag, you can create a loop area. There's my loop area, and let's change it so start there, and there, start there. Okay. Whoa. So we're testing stuff out, doing whatever it was we wanted. And it's just going to loop over and over and over. Super handy. You can use that in recording stuff also. We'll have to deal with recording takes a different time. But yeah, loop is handy. Make it as long or as short as you want. Okay, next. So we did EQ. You probably want to do some compressing. And so we're going to add a compressor to all 4 tracks in this case. We don't really want to like over compress everything, but we do want to have some compression going on. So I'm just going to go click on the plugins, audio effects, and go down to dynamics and compressor. And there it is. And I just added one to all 4. Right now they're not doing, actually I'm going to turn them off. Power buttons. I just needed them there. We'll work on them. And I would just recommend going into where it says factory default. Gives you a whole bunch of options. I'm going to go to guitars and acoustic guitar. And then I'm going to mess with this. So the compressor is going to make the quiet parts louder and the louder parts quieter. And we want to do that with it still sounding authentic and realistic. So I'm going to hit play. And actually, I'm going to go to some louder parts.
Won't you see through my eyes?
Okay, so I'd like to see the needle moving a little bit more. Typically, we want to try to get like, I don't know, you can go get -5 out of that. So I'm going to pull my threshold down a little bit.
Won't you see through my eyes?
Yeah, that's nice. The ratio is about how much you're compressing when it goes over the threshold. Do you want to compress it 3 times? What's going on? Do you want to compress it 5 times, 8 times? The higher you go, the more compressed it will sound. And if you go too high, you'll start to hear like some weird stuff. Okay, so let's hear what that compressor sounds like. I'm gonna mute everything else. Oh, you can click on mute and just drag it down to mute everything. You can click and drag to unmute all of them. Kind of handy. Let's compare that to where it was at before. So clearly it sounds more natural at lower compression rates. There might be times where you want higher compression rates, and different instruments sound good with different ratios. So do with that what you will. Makeup gain. Essentially, you want your compressor to have probably the same input and the same output generally, so that way your compressor is not making things louder, because then anytime you make things louder, they sound better. Your ears are just like, oh hey, this is good. We don't want that. So we want the compressor to be transparent in that it doesn't boost the volume or doesn't reduce the volume because it might sound worse. We want them to be the same level. So right now I see my makeup gain has me a little bit higher probably. So I'm going to pull that down a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little more reasonable. So I'm at 0 right now for makeup gain. Attack is how fast do you want the compressor to respond? How fast do you want it to compress the sound, make it quieter? So right now it's on 80. I'm going to pull it down so it's like super fast, and we'll hear that our initial hits on the guitar aren't as clear. Go back to 80. So having a little slower attack time gives us a little bit more clarity on those very initial, where the pick hits the string, and it makes it so we can hear that front part better without it being reduced as much as everything else, which is kind of cool. You mess around with that and see what you like, because this is a good spot for what I'm going for, but different instruments need different things and different tastes need different things. Then the release is how long are you holding on to that compressor? Like once the compressor's engaged, how long before it releases, which can do different things also. If we do a really fast release, it's not going to compress as much. If we do a really slow release, it's basically just like always compressed. Okay, and then I'm not going to deal with the limiter part right now. Distortion, soft, hard, and clip or off. Those just add different character to your guitar based on the compressor. Figure out what it is you want. Sometimes it's nice to have just a little bit of soft compressor distortion. The mix is how much do you want the live signal to mix with the compressed signal. In this case, I'm just going to leave it at 100%. Notice it marks out 1 to 1. So if you want 50% live, 50% of compressed. So a lot of times, especially with like vocals, you'll have a little bit more of a mix, so you make sure you maintain that natural feel. Output gain, if something's too loud or too quiet, instead of just messing with the makeup gain, you can do the output gain. And I don't know, someone else will probably have better information on makeup gain versus output gain and the pros and cons of each. But mess with it, see what you can do. Let's go grab our vocal real quick and turn that compressor on. And I'm going to go to voice and yeah, pick what you want. This is kind of a light vocal, and I'll see what it gives me.
Won't you see through my eyes? Whoa.
Okay, so I was hitting like -10. I'm gonna raise the threshold a little bit.
Won't you see through my eyes? Whoa.
Okay, again, go through and mess with your stuff. Notice my mix is at 80%. Ooh, and it's got me on clipping for this one. Cool, if you like that, great. If you don't, move it to one of the others. I kind of feel like a soft distortion is probably going to be better for this.
Won't you see through my eyes?
Okay, and I am not going to mess with compression for my harmonies right now. Honestly, like those are pretty well in the right volume ranges. Like they don't vary much, so I probably don't need to compress them. We don't have to compress everything. It's just, it's a good tool. Although in this case, I might be tempted to actually like do a super heavy compression on them to really make that radio sound pop out. But that's for another day. Okay, now we're getting to reverb. So channel EQ, first thing you do, compressor, next thing you do. I mean, obviously you're messing with your levels at the same time also, in your pans, where you want things. But now we're getting to some reverb. You can just add reverb in the audio effects. You can go down, grab reverb. Space Designer is pretty cool. But I would highly recommend against that. We're going to use a send instead. I said we're going to make use of this little track that came up from the drum track. We're just going to make our new send. I don't know. There's a way to delete that. I'm not worried about it at the moment. Let's see. Ooh, create track. Yeah, that shows it in this window. And then I can delete track. Hey, that's what I wanted. Ooh, also, if you right-click on a track, like let's say you wanted to do, you need another melody track, and you have all these effects set up, and you're like, oh, I don't want to set that all up again. If you right-click, you have new track with duplicate settings, which is super handy. Yeah, new track with duplicate settings gets you a new track with duplicate settings, and then you can even like copy and paste your audio file from the previous one. I'm going to delete that for now. Don't need that. Okay. Sends. We're going to go bus number 1. And then this is going to be our room reverb. And then I'm going to go grab my reverb. I'm going to go do Space Designer. And then I'm going to go pick something. Let's see. Small spaces, rooms. We're going to go for something pretty small. Let's live chamber. Let's see how that sounds. And actually, I want that on all of my tracks. Just a little bit of room reverb. We're going to go bus number 1. There we go. And I'm going to pull that up a little bit. So the cool thing about the send is you can apply a little bit of reverb to everything. You can mess with the individual levels on each one and see how it sounds. So. So I'm going to pull it up real high so we can see what it sounds like. There we go. We got a little bit of room reverb. So find something you initially like, at least partially, and then for room reverb, we're going to go between probably 10 and 20 milliseconds of pre-delay. You can just mess with that a little bit. Pre-delay detaches the reverb from the actual voice, makes it sound a little more authentic. Okay, so there's some room reverb. That's probably a little bit too much on everything. And to audition reverbs, it's probably good to just solo the reverb and listen to it. Oh, and, oh man, important piece. This is not stereo. See this little circle? This says it's mono. Let's listen to the difference real quick. Mono reverb is going to put all the reverb in the center of the signal. Stereo reverb is going to put it where the instruments actually are. So click on that and notice it turns into those two little circles. That's sounding a lot better. That helps create our space. So if you find something you like, you can always change the length of it. You can or mess with the size. We'll do more with those in a little bit different. Do you want the low end of stuff to have reverb with it? Yes, no, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Typically I won't add a lot of reverb to, like, I don't know, bass and kick. You don't really want dry signal coming through on this. That just adds to your overall volume, and then it messes with your mix. So you just do the wet, and then you mess with your levels here. You can also mess with, you know, pull your room reverb all the way down, and then pull it up, and see, like, yeah, pull it up till you got a little bit of what you want. My harmonies feel a little too loud. Yeah, maybe back up here. Ooh, option clicking takes things to their neutral position. Option click, we get to 0. Same with pan. If you option click on it, it will take it to 0. Super handy. Okay. On and off. So the room reverb is just tying everything together. It's putting it in the same sonic space so that you can, so that your instruments blend, your harmonies blend, everything. It's super handy. I mean, this isn't the best setup ever on a room reverb, but gets you the right idea, and you can go through and pick some sounds you like. Okay, then we're going to add another reverb. I'm going to shift click to select all of them again and go bus number 2. Bus number 2, we're going to call space. Again, I'm going to grab Space Designer. Sometimes I'm just lazy. I don't want to, like, go through here and find it, even though it's on top. I'll just option click and bring it over. Okay, and this time though, I want something bigger. Let's go a medium space, a hall, midnight hall. Yes, let's see how that is. Oh, and we should bring all these up a little bit. So I'm gonna pull that up, see what it sounds like. We're not gonna have reverb on like absolutely everything, but these 4 instruments or these 4 tracks, yeah. And this is just our example. Okay, so I soloed the space reverb. I think I kind of like that. So now I'm going to solo just the melody real quick, and we're going to mess with some things.
Oh, oh,
Also, this needs to be stereo.
oh. Eyes. Oh.
So sometimes reverb lasts too long, so we can have a sound we like, but we can bring it down so it just like wraps around the vocal precisely.
Eyes. Oh.
And that makes it so we can like make it a lot louder if we want to have more of an impact, but it's not tailing into other stuff. Okay, so that is a little more, probably a little more than I need, but I would love for my 2 harmonies to have more, to send them further back in the room. Okay. Okay, so there you go. I mean, that's just a tiny setup with the reverb. Something I might do, I might do another bus that has the same reverb. Mess with the pre-delay how you want. Probably somewhere for these longer ones, like, I don't know, 30, 100, 150. I don't know. Mess with it. See what you like. But then I might set up another bus where it actually has like same reverb but longer tail to put on the harmonies, because those could do to like have some ringing in the background, whereas the stuff up front is a little bit clearer and crisper. But the more reverb you add from this room style gets you more it puts things back further in your created space. Another thing you want to do with reverbs is add EQ. You can mess with this to change how your reverb sounds. So if there's like a particular frequency that you're not liking or something you want to highlight, a lot of times I will just go in and cut off a bunch of the low end, because I really don't need low-end reverb ringing through my mix and making it muddy. Typically, I would listen and see where I feel like a good cutoff point is, and then I might highlight a specific something or pull away a specific something. But yes, do add EQ, and then you can also add a compressor to your reverb, and I usually just go for something like a voice compressor. I have no idea if that's the right thing to do. I go light vocal, and then so let's mute our space reverb real quick. So that can really help like bring out your reverb a little more, bring out the intricacies of it. Let's see what happens. We add it here. So I feel like that's a pretty substantial difference. Like part of it is just that it's making it louder. But I highly recommend using channel EQ and compressor to kind of shape your reverb and get exactly what you want from it. You can do that inside of Space Designer. You got the output EQ, but I kind of like seeing it up in the mix window. So yeah, I tend to not do that. You can mess with these to change settings. I like doing the little devices down here. What's something else you need to know? Melody. Let's go over to the melody real quick. We got our channel EQ, compressor. We've got some reverb going on. But then I'm going to go to imaging and grab a directional mixer. Everything is on a basic of one stereo spread. But some things you want to bring more to the forefront, so we're going to narrow that spread and see what happens. So let's go right there. Lying awake in the silence. Oh, that's like way too much reverb. Okay. Lying awake in the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive. So that helps bring that to the very front. Let's do the same thing on the guitar, except send it back further beyond 1. Like if I do it at 2, it's like super quiet. Lying awake in the silent parade, I am dead. I feel so alive. But along with the reverb, that directional mixer can help identify where you want stuff, like forward and backward in the mix. Okay, that is going pretty good. Oh, other reverbs, I mean, make another bus and do reverb for like color. Like you get a reverb tone that you like, you're like, oh, this makes this song sound really cool. The room and space are just kind of like your basics. You want to have these in there to set things up. They should be fairly transparent. You don't want them to like really color your mix. You just want them to like make it sound like you're in a room together and you're spacing things out a little bit. Some things are in the front of the room, some things are in the back. It's just tying it all together. But then you can always add your own special effects afterwards. Okay. Man, those are some of the big basics. Oh, some editing stuff. You got a bunch of tools here. You can check out all these tools. So you have your primary and you have your secondary. Your secondary is done with command. I usually put my secondary on scissors because I like to hold command and then go cut things up, or zoom in, and maybe I need to get them right on a beat. Then you can highlight stuff and press delete. Other things I like to do, if you click on a little section, Control M mutes that area. So maybe you didn't, like, you're testing out, do I want to get rid of this? Do I not? I'm not ready to delete it, but I don't want to hear it. Control M also brings it back to unmute it. T on the keyboard brings up all the tools, your main tool, and you have letters for each. And really the one I use the most is the pointer tool, but then I use T, and then A gets me the fade tool. You click and drag over something to get that fade in, fade out. There you go. And then I do T and T again to get back to the pointer tool. That is handy. Again, here was your selecting area for instruments. If you're on an instrument track, like software instrument track. The I, let's do a little bit with that. Let's say, here's one of my favorite things to do. Let's say this one part was too quiet. So if you control scissor tool to cut that up, you select it. Now I can go into the, what is it called? Inspector? Yeah. And then you'll see gain. You can raise and lower the gain of a certain area. So if something's quiet, you can bring it up in comparison to everything else. That way, I like doing that a lot because I don't want to, that means I have to compress less. If I can take some real tiny parts and change it so they are louder or quieter in accordance with everything else around them, I don't need to be messing with the fader. Because the goal is the fader can just stay in one spot. At some point, you can work with automation where your fader goes up and down throughout the course of the song. But yeah, this gain tool is super handy. And maybe a better example would be some of the stuff on the melody. Like this section is quieter than this section. So maybe I would go in here and pull down the gain so my waves match a little bit better and they'll fit more maybe.
Feel so disguised. Won't you see through my eyes?
And evidently I got a text message sometime that recorded in this set as I was just, scratch tracking some stuff. Okay, so the biggest thing in the inspector is that gain tool. There's other stuff you can do, but I don't know. I don't use this. You can check it out if you want. This will show you the mixer. It can pop up from down below if you like that better. Use them one screen and everything. And then the scissors tool brings up that close inspector so you can see things better. You can make that however large or small you want. And then you have flex, turn on flex, and you can flex pitch, you can flex time, so you can stretch words out. I use the pitch one a fair amount. It'll show you where all your stuff is, and that's something you'll have to look up and learn how to use. It's not simple to start off with, but it's, yeah. But it's there, and there's plenty of tutorials on it. You also have things like, look through all the stuff you have. Let's see, there should be pitch. Yeah, there is pitch correction. And you can set up a key, but that doesn't always sound perfect, but just depends on what you're working on. When you're done, file. If you just want to like share through an email, you can go down to share and go to mail, and that's what I do a fair amount when I'm sharing with some friends, just to be like, hey, check out this mix, what do you think of it? Or you can also bounce. You want to bounce project or section. Typically I will turn on my loop and go to my start and stop locations. Woo. And then Command B gets you the bounce. And then it usually is what? I don't know, that should bounce the selection that I have. Yeah, so and I'll do it in MP3 if I'm just sharing with someone, or PCM would get you your wave if you're like bouncing, so that way you can master later. Yeah, I'm not going to bounce this right now, but there's some things to get you started in Logic. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful, and I'd really recommend just the, as much as you can, channel EQ, compressor, and then busing to some reverbs. And again, use your channel EQ and compressor on your reverbs. Try out that directional mixer some, and then adjust your levels for your buses for each individual thing. And you can make a bus for a single track. One of the reasons you don't want to drop reverb like on an individual track is just harder to control the amount that you're getting, the levels you're getting, and like adjusting that and making sure it fits in the mix. And it takes up less processor, especially when you're busing multiple things over here. And whenever you go pick a new bus, it makes a new send. So like if I go bus number 3, it's just going to pop up over here. And you can do a ton of things with buses. Like if you want to add a little bit of distortion to a vocal, sure, go add that on a bus, and then pull it up a little bit, whatever it is you want. I think that's it for now. Okay. Good luck, and I hope this was helpful, and I hope I didn't say too many things that were incorrect, because I'm not actually a professional. Thanks, everybody. Bye.